Hello, everybody. Welcome to C3 Films. Today we are going to be doing an episode of It Wasn't That Good, and it's going to be about Free Guy starring Ryan Reynolds. And I am Cheryl. This is,
The blue shirt guy.
yeah! And we are going to talk spoilers today, and we are going to tear this movie apart. To be honest, I don't think it was that bad, but it definitely wasn't that good. So, what did you think, Chris?
I I was feeling I don't think the movie's that funny, to be honest. There's a couple of moments that I did laugh out loud, but for being a comedy, I only think I laughed like two or three times in the entire movie, and the movie is almost 2 hours long. And I remember thinking to myself when I saw the runtime, like, how is this movie an hour and 54 minutes? I understand some of that's credits, but it felt like it was going to be a little too long for what it seemed like it wanted to be. Um, and after the end of the movie, I still feel like it's a little long, but I do understand some of the things that they were trying to do. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was.
So I actually had a good time. Except for like when we got to the end, I found myself asking a lot more questions as the movie went on. I definitely feel like Ready Player One did it way better. And I think we didn't even like Ready Player One that much, anyways. So that kind of just goes to say, I give them A for effort in trying to build this world. And like just kind of have fun with it,
Yeah.
and taking a different stance on like what we usually see. Basically, this movie is about an NPC who develops artificial intelligence and becomes a basically a person, and then it becomes a rom com.
Yeah.
So
Basically.
that's a little weird, but I think that I just like the concept of it. That's why I wanted to watch the movie in the first place because I felt the concept to be interesting. I did like some of the stuff that they did, but overall, I do feel like the logic between the real world and in gameplay didn't really mesh very well. Like the laws established or like the rules of the world and how it works, I feel were not established very well.
Yeah. And like I feel like you do where some of the things that they do, like I like some of the ideas behind it. Even if I didn't particularly enjoy the movie that much. Um but there's some heart and creativity that went into this movie in an attempt to be original. So like I definitely give the movie props for that. But as far as like those rules and them making rules, sometimes they even break their own rules. For instance, there's like they make a big deal out of the fact that Guy kisses the girl. Man, I forgot her name now, but um,
Millie.
it Molotov, whatever Molotov girl, whatever. He kisses her. They make a big deal that there's no button for kissing in the game when they're talking about it in the real world. But then when she's trying to get Guy to remember who he is, she actively kisses him. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember thinking in that moment, I mean, it's not a big deal, but you
They
guys
said
actually
there
made a
was no
point of
button.
saying, yeah. So how did she initiate a kiss with this NPC if kissing isn't actually an option in your game?
Exactly. I 100% wrote that down as well. That bothered me a lot. Like if you're gonna actually actively say that there's no button for it, then how can you add that? Like letting her, give her the option, unless they like coded it last minute so that she can do that. But I mean, they didn't say that, so.
Right. They didn't say that, okay, well, this is part of our plan, and maybe it's in a deleted scene or whatever. But yeah, when you actively say that something's a rule and then a couple of scenes later break that rule without an explanation, like that is going to stand out. Um but as far as like the characters go, like I mean, I guess the characters are fine. Free Guy and Ryan Reynolds. I normally like Ryan Reynolds, but he kind of bothered me in this movie. Um, it's not quite the same Deadpool shtick that he normally does, but it felt very similar. And I don't know if that's just Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds or whatever, but it just I found it to be a little annoying. And I think that that's also probably what made me not like the movie as much as I could have because his character did not seem endearing to me. Um, I actually just was not excited whenever his character was on screen.
I actually don't feel the same way. So I did see Deadpool, and I actually also recently watched Red Notice on Netflix that he's in, and that character is basically Deadpool. Um, in this in this movie, he's a little bit different. He still has that like weird, quirky humor, but like I don't know. I felt like his character, like his acting for that character, was pretty appropriate. Um, you know, considering that he is basically a 4-year-old child and he doesn't understand the world. So like I get it. Like I think it was portrayed correctly. So I would just have to disagree with you there. I thought
That's
it was.
fine. It's at the end of the day, it just did not work for me. I found it more annoying, even if he's trying to be four, and then even if it's appropriate, fine. It just still, it was not endearing to me. His character, I did not find his character endearing at all.
Yeah. Did you say you didn't like rom coms?
No, I don't mind rom coms. I actually like rom coms, and there's this movie even has like some good moments, like at the end when he's talking about how he loves this girl, but it might just be his programming. But literally, that programming was written by somebody, so he's a love letter to her, and there's an author somewhere out there. That's a beautiful line. Like I love that line. When I heard it, I like rewound it to listen to it again because that piece of writing is great.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea, and that's a great line and great delivery in that moment. I love that line.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there was some pretty good dialogue, for sure. Like when they were using the Kentucky Fried Chicken um, metaphor, and then he was like Albuquerque boiled turkey.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's hilarious. I think that was the funniest joke for me in the movie. Um, Albuquerque boiled turkey, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, there's also the other NPC that was a female, and then a free guy or guy was like, uh, maybe you're better than that. You can find a guy that's better than him, and then she was like, or maybe I don't need a guy at all, and I was like, yeah, there you go, good job, movie.
Yeah,
Um,
it was funny, and that was funny when they talk about it later, where the coder played by the guy from Stranger Things says to the girl that, hey, there's a girl NPC that went and wrote a dissertation about gender roles and everything else like that. I mean, it's a little preachy in some places, but it's really good. That I thought was funny. He's like, oh, okay.
yeah.
The movie is aware.
Yeah. I just like that they played around. So I would definitely give them A for effort in trying to do something different and be creative. There's some good pieces of dialogue in there. I actually quite enjoyed the music as well. Not necessarily like an original track, but I think that the way they used music in the movie did, like, it was pretty good.
So I didn't notice it that much. The only time I noticed the music for me personally was when they used music from other movies. So when he pulls out the Captain America shield, they start playing the Avengers song. Like, I literally got excited for that moment and I laughed out loud. It was just like, what the hell? And then when you see Chris Evans, it was an extra moment of what the hell. And then, like, literally like a minute later he pulls out a lightsaber and they play Star Wars, and then I just shake my head like, wow, Disney, you own way too many properties.
At least they didn't do it the way they did Warner Brothers in Space Jam, where that was like at least this one was more called for, I guess, and they only did two, and they did
Oh yeah.
like the two most major things that Disney owned. So
Right. I mean, I love the moment, so it was great. Um, I'd have to watch the movie again to like really pay attention to the music, but like I don't remember any music standing out to me. So the only music I really remember in this movie were tracks from the real world, um, like the Mariah Carey song, the Wrecking Ball song that they played briefly. Um, but yeah, I don't. For me personally, I don't think I noticed anything about the score that made me like that stood out that made me think, oh, that's pretty good.
yeah, I mean it's definitely not, like their original score is not necessarily strong, but I do like the design they used for using like actual like music that already exists. Like because I know some movies rely heavily on tracks that exist already,
Yeah.
and to scatter throughout their movie. And this is definitely one of those. But I think they did a good job. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the choices. I like the way they designed it. Like that wrecking ball moment. That was pretty extreme.
Yeah. And like I'm pretty sure this movie wasn't too expensive, but like the CG that they do have in the movie works. Um, they play off of a couple of video game tropes, which is nice. You see this moment when this player knocks out an NPC and then basically teabags them. And as a gamer, you know exactly what he's doing. If you're not a gamer, you're not in on the joke. You see these one random moments where you see like characters in the background just jumping in place. And anyone who's played a game, you've seen that like on an MMO or anything else like that. A character just not moving but just jumping because someone's just sitting at their keyboard or just doing whatever while they read something or look at their inventory. So like those little gaming tropes that they had were were pretty cool, I think. There's a couple other things that are gaming tropes that I don't necessarily enjoy seeing as much anymore, like the general assumption and constant replaying of if you're a gamer, you must be a 22-year-old that lives with your mom. Um, those kind of tropes get played out to me personally, but I mean, for the most part, I think that the overall gaming tropes that they did put into the movie were recognizable and could be funny if you at least have played video games.
Yeah, I definitely thought that Channing Tatum playing that role. Like at the beginning, I was like, "Wait, is that Channing Tatum?"
Didn't
And
recognize him either.
like it looked like him, but I wasn't sure. And then he shows up later, and I was like, "Wow, this is hilarious." That like he ended up being like because he was talking to Guy, and then all of a sudden he like shouted "Mom." So I thought that was funny, but then again, like you're right. It kind of falls into that stereotype of you know young adults living gaming, but they're not like how their avatars are, and they still live at home. And while that is true in some cases, it's definitely a stereotype. But I feel like I feel like Millie's character does kind of also break that because she too is a gamer, even though she's one of the
Creators.
creators. But I thought that was a good representation. But overall, like if we're gonna be talking about stereotypes and representation, I was not happy with the variety of actors that were casted, I guess you could say. How many ways am I gonna have to get creative in saying I obviously know what I'm saying. Um,
What about his best friend?
yeah, like the one who doesn't do anything and like dies and comes back. And by the way, when he dies on that bridge, I was like, okay, Guy needs to keep running. This is a total waste of time. I hate it when movies
He's
do
stopping.
that. Yeah, like stopping. There's no time for stopping. Stop it.
Yeah,
And then I also didn't like how Key's like friend at work
yeah, yeah.
and the
That bothered me.
villain the villain
Hmm.
I forget his name.
Taika Waititi is the real name, but Ansimoff or I can't remember, but yeah,
Yeah,
Antoine, I think of
Antoine.
his name. It's like Antoine, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did not enjoy that. I mean, yay, we had some people in there, but that was it, and they were very minor or negative. So I'm,
I mean, his friend is like Key's friend is kind of a jerk. He doesn't really
yeah,
have his back until the end of the
until the
movie,
very end, yeah, which
and
it was weird. So
that
it's
was very weird because up until that point, he had been kind of actively working against him, in many ways. And anytime that, like he would say something like, "Hey, I need this," or "Hey, I'm thinking this," like he was always very opposite to whatever
mm-hmm.
Keys was saying. Um, and I like Keys as a character overall, but he bugged me in one moment, and that moment was when he knows Antoine, his boss, is a jerk, and yet when Antoine is trying to figure out how to get rid of Guy, why would Keys volunteer the information of who Guy actually is? He just told you to boot the guy out of the game when he thought it was a real player. So why do you think telling him that the guy is actually an NPC would make him think that there was nothing he could do? Because immediately I'm thinking, okay, just delete the NPC. But they decided, oh, if we reset the servers, then we reset him. So, but like just from a character perspective, that didn't seem like a smart thing to do to me, and that was like probably the one moment in the movie where I was actually mad because I was like, that doesn't make sense. You're trying to protect this character, you're trying to protect this AI. Why are you telling him that he's a piece of code in a game where you can easily delete him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of little stuff like that where like parts don't really fit together. They don't really make sense, and it's almost literally like they need to happen in order for the conflict to like be there. But sometimes
Right.
like it just doesn't make sense, and this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, where they set rules, but then it doesn't like the logic between the real world, like what's happening in the real world, and how it makes sense with like the technology and how they work together does not really make sense. And that's like one of the things where you know, he would say something that like he's giving information away that they're trying to keep a secret. And it was like the same thing when he basically told Antoine that that guy has artificial intelligence, and that was something that he and Millie were trying to keep secret, but then he tells the one person that he shouldn't tell.
Right. Yeah.
So like that didn't make any sense at all.
No. Yeah, but I mean, outside of that, like I did also like Millie as a character. She doesn't. I don't think she does anything in the movie that didn't overall make sense to me. There's nothing that's standing out right now that I'm like remembering. I feel like she as a character was fine, and solid. Uh, I liked the fact that I liked the fact that she and Keys were that they built the game together, and I like the fact that they were on the same side. When I was first starting the movie, I thought Keys was going to kind of be that almost villain-like character, or just an obstacle for her to overcome. But he comes around pretty quickly to be on the same side as her and help her. So I at least like the fact that that kind of happened early in the movie, and we got to see their interaction, and seeing them work together along with Guy to try to solve the problems that do come up in the movie. So and in terms of those characters, overall, I think that they work.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. You know, I know that Ryan Reynolds was basically the main character, but it did feel a lot like sometimes it was actually Millie.
Yeah.
And I like that like shift where then it, you know, halfway in the movie it started to feel more like Millie's movie as opposed to Guy's movie. So I did like that there was that little shift there. Um, And I liked also, I thought it was interesting how, she basically teaches him how to play the game,
Right.
and that there's a way to level up by being good, which is like opposite of what people usually do. I heard
Yeah,
this game's a lot like Grand Theft Auto, where
it's
like
basically GTA. Yeah,
but you could be a good guy, which is what Guy ends up doing. And I thought and I like seeing that journey of him leveling up. I thought that was kind of
yeah.
cool.
No, that was a pretty fun part of the movie. I agree too. That was another thing where I asked myself the rules though, because when he took the glasses off the person, I was thinking if he died, then he would lose the glasses. But for whatever reason, I guess he got to still keep them, and they respawned in his house when he respawned. But that felt a little odd, but suspension of disbelief, like putting that aside, yeah, like the whole thing of him learning slowly how to play the game, getting killed a couple of times, and then slowly getting better and getting to level 100, so then he could go and meet with Millie again and then help her solve her problem, was all really cool.
Yeah.
So the yeah, so like I mean, so overall, like I know that this movie when it came out was highly praised and got a lot of good reviews. And I was wondering if, and I remember seeing the trailers, and the trailers did not make me seem like I wanted to watch the movie. And now that I've seen it, I know how I feel about it. But I sometimes wonder if this movie was more well received because of the fact that it was one of the first movies people had gone to see in theaters for a long time. If that had any bearing on it, because seeing what we've seen, even when I'm trying to be nice about it, I don't see how the movie can be so highly regarded. I can see how people might like it, but I can't see how it's getting like very high praise.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like it had a lot of problems. And it, even though I thought it was fun, and they had a lot of, they hit on a lot of like current issues too, like gun violence, right?
Silence War. Joke made me laugh. Oh, how there's no gun violence in your world.
Actually, that's a real problem. Like that's a huge problem. No, she said it's a massive problem.
Right? That was good.
Yeah. So there's like little tidbits there. They talk a little. There's some feminist stuff in there as well. But there's no representation. It has its good things, but it also has its bad things. Like the rules, breaking the rules, and sometimes just not making sense how things work. Like rules are established and then some rules are not established, so it could be a little confusing. So I did find myself asking a lot of questions during the movie, and as I mentioned earlier, the more movie I watched, the more questions I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I liked Dude. I liked Dude. That was funny.
Praise.
I liked how he had a tattoo of a blue shirt on his chest, and I thought it was funny when Guy puts the glasses on him, so he's like a baby and he gets distracted and stuff. I did think it was funny for a while how he would basically say what he is expressing, like friendly wave or something like that, or friendly gesture, but then it got like old really quickly. So I think they only needed to do it like once or twice, but they did it quite a bit. So I was like, okay, we get it.
Also because like initially when you see him he's incomplete and it makes sense that he's incomplete, but when you see him again after this new game has been created, it seems kind of weird that they didn't complete him within like their game. I mean, I can get the argument they had other things to worry about, but I do remember when I saw him and he still was having like filler lines in his dialogue. I was like, Millie and Keys didn't like source that out for you. That seems a little odd. They know you guys are all people. Like I feel like that at least would be on their top of their list. So,
Yeah.
but either way, that's generally how I felt about the movie. I think that I think that it's fine. I personally didn't enjoy it that much. There's a couple of moments that I like where I actually did laugh, but in an hour and 54-minute runtime, I only laughed like two or three times. So, and then the rest of the time, I was sometimes entertained, but um, for me, like the movie was just okay. I didn't think it was that great, and I definitely don't see what I don't think I see what other people would have seen in it to give it high praise. But that's where I fall at the end of the day. And what about you?
Yeah, I definitely feel the same thing. And I mean, if you guys liked it, I am just, quietly.
Wow.
um, having thoughts to myself without saying anything to you. So, with that, I think I've said everything I've had to say.
Yeah, I'm basically good too. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it out there. But what did you guys think about Free Guy? Did you see it in theaters when it came out? Did you watch it at home? Did you think that it was funny? Did you like Ryan Reynolds in the movie, and did you like the story and the game like world that they created? Whatever you thought about it, comment below. Let us know. And while you're down there, if you give us a like, share, and subscribe. Even if you don't, though, I have been Blue Shirt Guy, also known as Chris, and this has been
Cheryl, and we will see you all next time.